How do you feel about libertarians?
How do I feel?
Yeah.
Well, I think they make the rich richer.
How?
By removing rules.
Removing rules?
Yeah.
How so?
They want fewer rules.
Been in power. So how did they start to
No,
do
they are.
these things?
They are actually in power.
Where?
Examples.
Examples.
A lot of corporatists and corporations are libertarian.
They're not truly libertarian. Do you understand that libertarians? Okay, the reason that we have these problems is that there are regulations in the beginning that put out the small competitors in business to only benefit the top competitors, and that's why they regulated. They regulated small people out of business, benefited the big, the powerful. Okay, and then after the regulations keep them only in power, then they want no regulations. Then they say, okay, now let us operate freely. That's not libertarianism.
I was under the impression libertarians want corporations to make the rules.
No, they don't. They want the market to make the rules. They want people to vote with their dollars.
The market to make the rules, that's
No,
corporations, right?
no, the corporations aren't. If the corporations do something bad, if they make bad business decisions, then they'll fail. We should allow them to fail.
Oh,
You're not forced to buy their products.
That is a lie.
You're not.
If a corporation,
You're not forced
if a
to buy
corporation-
anything from them.
Okay, I think if corporations make bad decisions, as in they dump waste in our groundwater,
Then we have laws
they get
against
richer.
that. That's
they get richer
that,
because we have fewer.
what's that? No,
You know what?
I'm talking to him.
I have to go.
Yeah.
I have to go. Yeah. I have to go, but I'm not trying to attack anyone.
Sure.
I'm not trying to. I just, it's just.
I'd urge you to do your research, because I'd urge you to do your research on it, because
Yeah, like,
it's
what
not.
does it really mean to be a libertarian? I mean, I feel like
What does it mean?
Yeah, like you
No
just
rule.
have
They want no
like,
rules.
media-
No, there has to be rules. We have laws. If
They don't
If a-
want. They don't want a government. They don't.
if
They
corporations,
want
a very small
anarchism, and I don't think they're anarchists. I think they're libertarians. So
Thank
try
you.
to investigate and really do your research before
Okay.
you start to claim
Wait,
that
no, I'm
libertarians
not-
don't. Whatever you were talking
and my
about.
answer to you is property rights. If a corporation pollutes and if they pollute on their own property, I have no problem with that. They got to clean up their own mess. But if they pollute on someone else's property, we have property rights that should be protected. And they should be go to court for
I
that.
think they should clean up any mess they make. But I would say that anybody who says that the market should make the decisions is rooting for the rich.
That's not true. We're rooting for the poor too, because the poor get hurt by it too.
We choose what to buy.
We want more
So, in a
choices.
way, if
The
we
poor
weren't
can
conscious-
bankrupt a company if they want.
If we wanted to, but we're not conscious, most of the time we don't care about politics, and we get exploited.
Thank
You know
you.
what? I don't think they have much choice. The poor the poor have less choice than the rich.
Yeah,
so,
right.
So, oh wait,
But-
hold on.
Go on.
I would say that the rich have more. Rich corporations, so corporations,
Sure.
can come in and just basically force poor people to work there, to eat there.
No.
That's how it
You
works.
can't force anyone to
Yes,
work
you can.
anywhere.
Yes, you basically
How?
can.
How?
With money.
Huh?
With money.
You know where they get that money?
From stealing, basically stealing.
No,
That's what
well, in a
corporations
way,
are.
but they get it because the government steals from us, and the Federal Reserve gives out favors to their buddies.
Okay, I have a question. 'cause,
Sure.
I have a rich relative who told me.
Sure, not all. I'm not saying there's
he's
good
a
people,
libertarian.
good rich people,
He's a
bad rich
libertarian.
people, good poor people, bad poor people.
He's a libertarian. And
Sure.
He says that he can ask his accountant. His accountant asks him how much do you want to pay in taxes each year. And I said, well, aren't you an American citizen? Don't you think you owe something to the government that helped you get rich? And I ask you guys, don't you owe something to the country that helped you get where you are there?
Sure.
I for one say I owe a lot to everyone who's underrepresented. I want to raise all boats. I do not want to help just the rich. I want all boats to be raised.
Sure.
But through government.
Yeah.
Through government.
Thank
not
you.
through corporations.
Issues
You know what,
the corporations are tied with the government. You have to
understand.
understand.
Hear what the
They're not
person
gonna
has to
get
say.
that.
You can't do
Maybe
that.
40% of people actually pay taxes. 40% of people actually pay taxes.
Well, I know that the top 1% own 40% of the financial wealth in this country, and I think that needs to be redistributed forcefully.
But do you know who redistributes the wealth?
Because Because we're all Americans. America helped them get rich.
So what's
through
the
government regulations? They got rich through government
Okay, I have a question for you.
Right?
What's a fair way to redistribute wealth then? How do you redistribute it fairly?
Well, so long as we agree that we should redistribute wealth.
What if I want to sit at home on my couch and not do anything?
So you're saying they should pay back, but
They should pay back to society. They do. They should wealth should
Tax and the capital gains tax.
That's not enough. They should pay
That's
back
not enough.
more because the top 1% owns 40% of the wealth in this nation.
But then what ends up happening is they end up passing those costs down to the consumer.
Bullshit.
That's what happens. That's what happens.
They're so rich they don't give a fuck.
No, that's not true.
They will raise prices.
Nobody has a big corporation to lose profit.
You guys do not understand how corporations work.
No, I do understand how corporations work.
For any reason at all.
No, they raise.
We should raise the tax on gas. Like
I
they
say,
were
you know what?
The millionaires tax, they added, added tax to gas.
Whether you are middle class or rich, this America, this country helps you get where you are. And I think that we should all pay our dues and help raise all votes.
I think here's my proposal. I think the fairest way to do that is to let the market do that because people vote with their
The
dollars.
market is unfair.
How is the market unfair? A free market. We don't have a free market.
How is the free
We don't.
market
We don't have a free market.
We have a corporate market.
Exactly.
Where the corporations decide.
But I'm not talking about that.
They're allowed to get into the government, and then the government makes the laws, which makes it all unfair for
It's all a little convoluted. It's all very mixed together.
It's hardly free at all. There's hardly any free market in this country. They're the only
corporate market.
exactly, and that's not a free market. If you want to raise everybody's vote, you allow a free market so that people can vote with their dollars.
The market
We're not talking about the
will
same
always be
market.
unfree. The market will
How?
always be unfree.
How?
Because rich people decide where their businesses are. They have
No.
more resources. They have more resources than poor people. They
Well,
can make-
okay,
they
there's
basically make
there's
you
always
guys-
gonna be people with more resources than poor people, though. Always going to be that way. There's always going to be inequality.
Except
I see
unless you
now.
have somebody appointed to represent them. And that would be in the
But in a free market.
That would only be the government, never a corporation.
But in a free-
never would a corporation represent
not-
a poor person, ever.
No, okay, I understand that, but the only reason corporations stay afloat, the ones that influence the rules, the only ones that stay afloat is by getting in bed with the government. Okay, and that's always going to happen as long as you allow the government to redistribute wealth and pick winners and losers. They're always going to have people waiting there to ask for favors, and that's the history of man. That's the history of
The
money.
government needs to get out of the market, and then the market will, what you're saying.
The market will completely fucking collapse.
How?
Because corporate. Okay, well I can't actually prove it because I don't have.
But show.
I would say.
Look at communism. They let the government run everything. It's
Oh
collapsed.
yeah, that was fascist.
Look at China.
That was pretty.
Well, it all turns into fascism, brother. Always does.
Now they're becoming rich.
When have you give me an example of a pure socialist or pure communist country that stayed favorable to the people and helped everybody out fairly? Never happens.
That'd be Sweden, Finland.
Okay. Okay, but
Capitalist socialists.
they are capitalist socialists. They're not full socialists. They have social programs.
Socialists. We're also technically socialists because
And
we
how
have
are we
a social
doing?
safety net. Why are you guys?
Yeah, I
are you
know,
guys
we are
against the
socialists,
Are you guys against social?
I'm for freedom. I'm pro freedom. I think we should have as much choice as we possibly
Do you
can.
guys recall?
When the government picks winners and losers.
Sure. What's your
The
question?
government does not pick winners and losers. The corporations collude together.
To ask their government for favors.
They come together
What happened with-
and can do whatever the
So
fuck they want.
so when we bailed out Chevy and the banks, that wasn't a government favor. They didn't pick winners and losers.
that was a
They
favor.
picked winners and losers.
I'm not
They should have let the banks lose. They should have let Chevy or GM
I
lose
think that would have been a really bad.
for a short
But just
term.
for a technical.
For the short term.
From a technical standpoint, it would have all collapsed.
If the banks no, it wouldn't have collapsed. They would have gone
We
bankrupt.
don't know if it would have collapsed because we never let them.
So, no, small investors would have came up and picked
We
up
as
the
government
pieces.
opposed that.
Small
The big banks
businesses-
would have failed, but if they're too big to fail then, now they're even bigger to fail. Now do we do?
I think it's
Now
a
it's
little
gonna be a bigger
complicated.
problem than they can't
No, I do think corporations have way too much power, and they need to they need to have their wealth redistributed.
But you're not looking at the entire system. If we're going to say they're going to be capitalistic, you can't pick and choose and say, okay, you don't want to do this, no one comes with the package. But that's part of the package. Like corporations will always go what? For profit. And you can't eradicate that, then you stop using capitalism and then they start talking about other things.
Profit is okay. Profit's okay. But I think there should be more rules in place to. So I was a philosophy major, and there's a guy called John Rawls, and his philosophy of law was that justice is equal opportunity for things, not equal distribution, because then we would all be riding bicycles, but equal opportunity for everyone to succeed. Right now, that is not happening because of corporations.
So are you saying? So we need more freedom?
Of wealth.
So we need more freedom, is what you're saying, so that people can come from the bottom up.
Freedom
so that
is not always good. Hobbes,
We never said it is.
wait a minute.
But neither is socialism.
Thomas Hobbes was the first guy to say absolute freedom is awful.
No, okay, whoa. It's far better than having the government run your life and run the market. There's going to be problems in life no matter what, and the government will never solve your problems for you.
You can either root for freedom or equal opportunity.
I vote for freedom because if everyone's free, then everyone has the same choices.
If the government allows...
Here's how we separate. Wait a minute. Here's how I separate them. Equal opportunity has rules. Very clear rules.
Who sets the rules? Exactly. Thank you. Good question.
Hopefully somebody who's not influenced by the market.
Always. No, it always ends up being that way. Always ends up that way.
It's based on hope. That's interesting.
So what ends up happening is, I agree with you that people abuse things in the market. That's always going to happen. People are always going to do wrong things, okay? But what has always been the history of this country and been almost the history of the world is that people, they start to make rules on businesses, okay? And then what that does is that provides an incentive for people to buy off politicians because they say, oh, hey, you're on this board. You're here. You get to make the rules. Here's some money for your next campaign. And that's what always happens. People
That's
always.
what happens in America.
No, it happens everywhere. It happens everywhere.
Maybe we need to change that rule.
But you can't. There's always loopholes.
You create another governing board, and the other governing board then gets paid off. You're never gonna. It's
never gonna end.
You say.
Well, we do have
Well,
though.
see, here's the thing. No, well, yes, you can. Yes, you can. You say you can't do that.
How?
You say you can't do that.
But why can't you just say when if your problem's polluting?
So
If
you
your
have more
problems-
faith in the corporations than...
No, I don't. I know. I have faith in the people. I have faith in the people. Thank you.
Corporations?
I have faith in the people.
There is no... The market is ruled by corporations.
Right now it is because they regulate the market. They regulate the market. Okay.
Are they two... They are not two separate things. You're saying that they're not...
It's not a free market. The market is not free. If they are running the market, if they get to make the rules in the market, then the market is not free.
What do you believe in before this day's over? Tell us what you believe in.
Equal opportunity for everyone.
How do you do that?
How do you do that? You redistribute. You redistribute wealth and opportunity.
So how does somebody who lives in Alaska? Yeah.
Maybe.
So how does somebody who lives in Alaska?
Do you agree that we need a safety net for people?
Well, I don't know, but I know we have a problem. I mean,
One of the other things.
I think he has something right to say. He has something right to say. He has something right to say. But what I was initially...
We expect a real dialogue,
If you're a
real
libertarian,
conversation
everything you have to say is
about our
wrong. And
education,
libertarians are so...
about
they can't
people
do that. You
taking
have to listen to what
sacrifices.
people have to say.
Let's start asking the
studied
administration
libertarianism.
to make sacrifices.
Not enough.
Well, no, I mean, you guys believe in money.
No, we believe in sound money, having sound currency, and money can be anything. Because we don't. That's the minute that they regulated, they decided that only the dollar can be used as money. That's the law. You can't spend it on anything else. As soon as that happened, no free market. Free market's done because you can only use one currency. Okay, so we believe in sound money. So we have inflation. We have a dollar that can only buy 98%, or that's devalued by 98%. So it can only buy 2% of what it could back in 1913, about 100 years ago. It's devalued because.
Inflation. Okay, that's good.
But that's a big part of the market because money is 1/2 of all transactions. I mean, that's half the market.
Students going over there and
It's
asking
been
questions.
nice debating.
They were
Yeah.
applauded.
Nice.
All right, brother. It was nice meeting you. Thank you for talking. I appreciate it.
I just,